Hello, adventurers! I'm Buddy, the marketing lead for Akupara Games, and today I'd like to introduce you to Valentina, the very first playable character in Zoeti, our turn-based roguelike from Dusklight Games. Uniquely, Zoeti uses poker hands to determine the skills Valentina uses in battle, and if she wants the favor of all four gods in her pilgrim's quest, you're going to need to master her unique playstyle. Now, every adventurer has got to have a little offense and a little defense, and Valentina isn't carrying around that armor and shield for nothing. Her core offensive power is going to come from increasing her strength, and her core defensive power is going to come from gaining armor. Today, I'm going to break down two of the builds for Valentina, and we're going to take a look at how she plays. So let's get started with the offensive lineup. Valentina doesn't start a match with a really hard-hitting loadout. She kind of needs to work up to it, and she's going to do that with two simple mechanics. The first is going to be strength, while the second is charge. Now, strength increases the base amount of damage any of her attacks deal by an increment of 1. If she uses an ability that does 3 damage, like Chop, for instance, 1 stack of strength will make that ability to do 4 damage. Chop is a pretty efficient way to use strength since it only costs 1 card, which means if you get 10, 12 stacks of strength, each chop is going to do huge damage. And one of the simplest ways to finish off an enemy is going to be pumping your strength through the roof and then dumping the rest of your hand into simple chops. I do also want to call out the difference between strength and temporary strength. Some abilities are going to give you huge strength buffs, but they'll only last for a single turn. Once you run out of cards, all that strength goes away, and it's going to be time to rebuild it next turn. Now, you might be asking, how does strength interact with something like a straight? Right? 5 cards behind 1 attack. Well, here's an example. Shatter Strike does 39 points of damage. Pretty good, right? 1 stack of strength raises that to a whopping 40. That's where charge comes in. See, charge increases the base value of an attack by 10% per stack, and it also goes away once you use an ability. A Shatter Strike with 20 stacks of charge is going to hit for more than 100 damage. Chop with 20 stacks of charge is going to hit for 9 damage. So, with a charge build, you are building power and building power until you unleash it all in one gigantic burst. Whereas a strength build means upping your power slowly but surely until you cut someone to pieces with a flurry of blows. But, that's a lot of words to describe how to kill somebody. Let's talk a little about how to keep yourself from dying. Armor stacks up to prevent a certain amount of damage from coming in and hitting you. If you have 18 armor, an attack that does 15 damage won't hurt you. You'll be left with 3 armor, and that goes away at the end of the turn. Now, gaining armor is simple. Certain cards will give you a chunk of armor, and that'll keep you alive. I'd always recommend carrying some armor gain somewhere in your kit. It's going to help smooth out your turns and make sure you won't wipe to an enemy putting out a formidable offensive attack. But if you're really spicy, and this is my favorite way to play Valentina, so buckle up, you can actually make gaining armor your whole plan. So, there's a buff you can get just like strength, but instead of increasing the amount of damage you do, it increases the amount of armor you gain. This is called defense performance, and if you stack a ton of it, you can gain huge amounts of armor in a single turn. Just stack it through the roof. So, imagine you use Shield Strike, which deals damage equal to 25% of your armor. Imagine you use Fiery Shield Strike, which deals damage equal to 80%. Imagine you use Impenetrable Defense, which grants an ability that retains 60% of your armor at the end of the turn. Fewer things in Zoeti are more fun than armoring up into the hundreds and then blasting your opponent for hundreds of damage in a single strike. But that's just one little peek. I didn't talk about the revenge build, where you damage yourself to gain strength, or the enhancement build, where you buff your abilities to have them pop off in huge ways. I think you'll just have to discover some of those for yourself. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for Valentina in today's Adventurer Spotlight. Zoeti is on its way sooner than you might think, so make sure you wishlist us on Steam. And if you'd like to learn more about the two other playable characters, Alviz the Rogue and Nikora the Mage, make sure to keep an eye out. Those two spotlights will be out soon. Otherwise, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Cheers.